Hello there, and this is Auntie, and I am coming to you all live in my car to talk about Iyanla Fix My Life with Kamiyah Mosley. If this is your first time being here, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And to all of my new subscribers, thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. And to all of my nieces and nephews, thank you all so much for being with me live and in living color. I was not supposed to come live this weekend because, of course, you all know that I am on mommy duty. But I had to come live and talk about this episode of Iyanla Fix My Life. Um, I don't know how many of you all know the story about Kamiyah Mobley. She is a young lady who was kidnapped and found. She was kidnapped um, in the hospital, and her mother, Shanara, and her father, Craig, went 18, 19 years without their daughter. Her mother, when she birthed her, was 16 years old, and I'm not sure how old her father was. That did not come out in the story. But anyway, this young lady, um, Gloria Williams, is the woman who kidnapped Kamiyah. Took her out of her mother's arms, walked out of the hospital room, and raised this little girl for 18 years as her own. And hmm, this is going to be a hard thing, but I've got to talk about it. And I think that it's hard for me because I have a daughter who is the same age as Kamiyah. And so I'm going to try not to make this, about me or be emotional about it. But anyway, let me just get back to it. I'm hoping you all are having a great Sunday, by the way. And so anyway, Kamiyah was raised by Gloria Williams for 18 years. She said in her 11th grade year is when she discovered that her mother had actually kidnapped her, and the reason why she found out was because she was applying for a job and she needed her birth certificate and a social security card, and she was not able to get that information from her mother. And at that time her mother, told her, that basically she had kidnapped her. And so this young lady, under Gloria's care, was named Alexis. And she said that her mother called her Lexi. And so we saw her story play out in the press. We've seen her do interviews, and she seems like this really, really bubbly child. But she's also a child who hasn't dealt with or processed what has happened to her in her life. Neither does she want to discuss it. But anyway, Kamiyah and her mother Shanara were supposed to come to Iyanla Fix My Life to do a healing, I guess, segment. They were going to go and talk about the things that had happened in her life and, I guess heal together. We see Kamiyah show up and her mother does not show up with her. And so, excuse me, y'all, and her mother doesn't show up. And so instead of her backing out, she decides, I'm going to go head on with this. And she sits down on the sofa across from Iyanla, and they begin to talk about who she was. When Iyanla greeted her at the door, she asked her, what is your name? And she said, you could call me Alexis or Kamiyah. And she said, no, darling, we need to know who you are. What is your name? And so, she says, well, you can call me Kamiyah because Kamiyah is the accepted name. That is the personality or the persona that she's wanting to take on right now. And so she takes on she takes on that name. She sits down and she talks to her about where her mother is, and Kamiyah goes into saying that her mother, who had initially reached out to the show to do this, wasn't showing up. And so at this point, Kamiyah is alone. Iyanla asks her how does she feel about it, and she says she doesn't really feel any kind of way about it. That this is not unusual of her mother to do. And so Iyanla's like, you've got to feel some kind of way about it, and she goes in and saying that she really doesn't. And I'm thinking to myself, you got to feel some kind of way about it, baby. And so after they go through that, she starts talking about her life and how she feels about her mom, and Kamiyah is really numb. I'm looking at it from a mother's perspective, and I'm saying, something is off about this little girl because I know the life and the vibrancy that lives in my child. So I'm saying, if for her to be 19 years old, she's talking, but she's not dealing with the reality of what has happened to her. And this has been a traumatic experience for her, but she doesn't, she really doesn't want to talk about it. So I'm like, okay, Iyanla is going to get down to it. She's going to solve the case. They're going to be healed and come by y'all, and everything is going to be wonderful. Well, that is not what happened. So anyway, let me give you a little bit more of the details. So they sit down and she start talking to her about secret and lies. And she says, your life, the things that happened to you in your life, your mom kept secrets and lies, away from you and everything. And so Kamiyah is like, what you're not going to do is call my mother a liar. And so Iyanla sees it as she is being defensive or, defending her mother. But later on, we see that it is much, much more than that. And so, they sit there and they try to talk about it. Iyanla shares with her that for 30 years she thought that the woman who had raised her was her mother. And she had found out that this woman was not her mother at all, but that this was someone else who had raised her. Her mother had died. I believe she even said 2 months or 2 years prior. I mean, two months or 2 years after Iyanla's birth. And so this woman took on the responsibility of raising her. Kamiyah, we can see, she kind of, she says things and she kind of laughs it off and everything, but we know that not even from experiencing it, but just from the imagination of experiencing it, that this little girl probably has suffered a lot and that she is probably really hurt. But Kamiyah doesn't deal with that. She said that after her mother told her that she was kidnapped, um, that she never even asked her mother the particulars. She never asked her, what happened to me, why this happened, or anything. And so White, and she tells her that this is a birthing room. Um, she has on the wall a photo of someone in a fetal position, and basically what she wants to do is rebirth Kamiyah into this world, give her a second chance because she was saying you didn't get the opportunity. It's hard today. You didn't get the opportunity to choose what happened to you. Didn't get an opportunity to choose your mother. You didn't get an opportunity to choose anything. And so what we're going to do is start from the beginning. We see now a little bit of resistance in Kamiyah because she's saying my life was normal, my life was fine until I found out that my mother had kidnapped me. And so it's like Bookie. It appears that Gloria was really a good mother to her. When we see when we first were introduced to her on the news, we saw that she was reaching out to her mother. She really had feelings for her mom. She loved her, and I guess you would if you're raised by somebody for 18 years who um who is in the role of your mother. And I'm sure that this had to be really hard for her. So she doesn't want to start over. She doesn't want to hear anything negative about her mother. Iyanla asks her, "Do you believe that your mother should be in jail?" And she says, "Yes, I do, because she committed a crime." And but she's still torn because she loves her. And here now she's has the opportunity to sit down with Shanara, her biological mother and she doesn't show up for her. And so, it's got to be rough. And my heart went out to her. So later on, we see Iyanla go downstairs and talk to Craig, who was her biological father, who didn't have any part in her life for the same 18 years. And Iyanla commends him for stepping up to the plate and being a father to her. Um, and so he's like, I really want to separate her from Gloria. And Ilyana, like, if you're going to do that, you're going to lose her because she had already had a conversation with Kamiyah, realizing that if she pushed it, realizing that she was defending her mother. So Iyanla had already realized that separating her from her mother is just not going to work at all. And so um, the dad is sitting downstairs, and Iyanla tells him to write some things on some little heart stickies and describe and tell Iyanla things that he knows about his daughter, um, who he's only been with for, I guess, the last 8 or 9 months. No, it's been 10 months. So here it is, this grown up that you have to know and learn. And he writes down outgoing, outspoken, beautiful, likes fast food. He talks about all these other things, but he doesn't get down to the nitty gritty. Ayanla realizes that the family is not equipped to deal with what they need to deal with this young lady, and that she is going to have to use some tactics that they're not going to like. She has to break her and make her angry with her because Kamiyah has learned how not to show her emotions. She's not trusting. She's bitter. She's angry. She's mad, and she has a right to be. And Iyanla realizes that she has a right to feel all these things, and she really, really does. She has a right to feel them. The stepmother is there. They have 8 kids. like, like who's like, like I'm not trying to say anything negative, but who has 8 kids nowadays? But okay, I digress. And then the boyfriend is there. She goes back upstairs and she has another conversation with Kamiyah because she wants to move her through the process. And moving her through the process, she wants her to write some things about herself and to journal. Um, any of you all who were on my YouTube channel earlier on No Die used to do a series on journaling for children because I think that it's really important that children journal their lives and journal their story so that they can become connected to who they are in the inside. A lot of times our children are dealing with things that as parents we don't know about, things that they are just not going to speak to us about that happens in school and how they feel about themselves and how they process things. So I used to teach a class on journaling for children, and I stopped. Why I stopped, I don't know, but I stopped. And so, she she puts her in a blanket and she talks to her about her mom and how she really feels about her mom not showing up. And she asked Kamiyah to call her mom. She said, "Call your mom and find out why she didn't show up." And Kamiyah says, "Well, you ain't gonna get me cursed out." And so Ayana's like, "You know what? What are you talking about?" And so at that point, we realize that there seriously are some issues that are going on. And so um, she tells Iyanla to call her, and she says, "Well, I want you. I'll call her if you say how you feel about your mom. That it really does affect you that she's not here." And so she repeats words that Iyanla basically puts in her mouth. Iyanla reaches out to the mom, and she refuses to come. and that is just like disheartening. Iyanla realizes that Shannara is still stuck at being that 16-year-old girl, and that this problem is probably bigger than what she thinks it is, and it really is. And so we see her go back downstairs, and she has Craig, the boyfriend, and the stepmother outside, and she is talking to them about having to break Kamiyah, how she's bitter and how she's numb, and I want to add, not doesn't trust women at all, doesn't trust them, and doesn't have any respect for them. Because here it is, the person that is supposed to love you the most, you find out that they have deceived you, lied to you, robbed you, and they have kidnapped you. And here you have your biological mother who is still stuck in hurt and pain and hasn't shown up for you, won't even show up for you. God, like, how do you not show up? So she tells them that she's going to, she wants her to stay the night, and she doesn't want them to answer the phone, and Craig is against it, and Iyanla is telling him, you've been pacifying this behavior, and you're so afraid of losing her, but this is what we need to do in order to go through this process. I have to break her. I have to make her angry with me so that she can tap into those feelings that she has suppressed. And so, he reluctantly agrees, and he tells Iyanla, what if you're wrong? What if the method and what you are trying to do is wrong? And she's like, what else do we have to lose? So she goes back upstairs and she tells Kamiyah that we're going to do a birthing process. You're going to stay the night. Your family is leaving you. And this is when we see the real Kamiyah slash Alexis. She loses it. The very thought of being left alone. Car up, y'all. Okay, let me stop. So she realizes that she's going to be left alone, and she loses her mind. Like, she goes off. And especially when she tells an assignment and that nobody phone calls. Girlfriend just completely loses it. And she goes downstairs. She's trying to call. Iyanla is running behind her on the back of her heels. The young lady is ballistic and calling Iyanla all kinds of BINGOs and calling her ugly and very angry with her. And Iyanla is saying, I gave them an assignment. I need you to stay here. What Iyanla did not tell her was that she had to stay. She told her that she had an option. But when Kamiyah looked at it as a 19-year-old, if you're sending my parents away and I don't have a driver's license, then basically I'm stuck and I don't have a way out. And so I understood her feeling caged in a warped kind of way. I really did understand how she felt caged. Like, if you brought my daughter somewhere, who's not currently driving, and told her that you could call me all night, but your mother's not going to answer your phone calls, then my daughter's going to feel caged. She's going to feel like, even though you said I have an option, I don't have an option. So I thought that that was just a bad move, Iyanla. There's not a lot of times where I disagree with her tactics, but this one I did. I really disagreed with it. I thought that she shouldn't have handled it that way. But anyway, we now see Kamiyah come out. She's walking back and forth. Iyanla and the producer, this older gentleman, white gentleman with bald head. They're walking back and forth, and they're trying, I guess, calm her, but there's no way of calming her. She's already enraged, and she's trying to call her father repeatedly, and he's not answering her phone calls. And she says, "Get this B out of my face. Why the F are you talking to me?" Like, this girl goes off. Like, she loses it straight up. And Iyanla is trying to calm her down. Well, you're not the one to calm her down because you're the one that brought it to this height. And so we see her being very disrespectful, cursing Iyanla out, calling her all kinds of bees, bumblebees, black bees. Um, and I thought it was really disrespectful. At this point, Iyanla goes into the room where the family is held and says, "I guess you all see that this little girl is not healed. Now you see parts of her that you didn't know were there." On the board, Iyanla had written some things that she had observed of herself, of Kamiyah. She said that she saw her as angry, numb, broken. Um, and we saw those things come out. But sometimes the person can push you to your to be just ugly. And not that you want to be ugly, but they can push you to be ugly. And I really thought that Iyanla pushed this little girl to be ugly. Now, yes, granted, it was in her. It's in all of us to be ugly. But when provoked or feeling like you're lost or trapped, that you have no other choice but to fight, you're going to fight. You back anybody up against the wall. I can be sweet as I don't know what, but if you back me up against a wall, you're going to see that lion come out. Now, calling her out of her name, that's what she's familiar with. I've seen Iyanla talk to other women. I'm trying to get on this side. I've seen her talk to other women and not allow women to call her BINGOs, but she allowed this little girl to. The little girl threatened to smack her and all of that. And they ended up leaving. Like, it got really, really ugly. She asked the dad, "Why did you leave?" Just the fear of her being alone was just too much for her to bear. And it's because even though wait a minute, let me just say this point. Iyanla on the board had already written down alone. She said that you're around your family, but you're alone. So if that someone is already feeling alone, why would you isolate them and make them feel that way? I'm not criticizing Iyanla, but then again, I am. Because I just feel like this could have been handled a whole different way. If you know that this person is feeling isolated and alone, and you know that they're broken, they're numb, there's got to be another way in order to do the healing process. There's got to be another way to get out of her what you need. The father asked her very poignantly, "What if you're wrong?" And Iyanla, this time, "I'm sorry, I thought you were wrong." And you could have done probably the same thing without putting fear and terror in this girl. You already know that she has suffered. She's probably dealing with PTSD because you said that this is the difference between being hurt and trauma. This girl has experienced trauma, and you cause more trauma to me. Now, you may disagree with what I'm saying, but if you do, put it down in the comments section very respectfully. I appreciate you for doing that. But I just really thought that, this was horrible. I thought it was a disaster. Later on, Iyanla brought out another young lady who was supposed to be talking to her and telling her story because she too was kidnapped and found out, that she was kidnapped and she was returned back to her biological father as a grown woman. And Iyanla, you know, told the young lady she wished that, they had an opportunity to talk and vice versa. But what wasn't shown on television is that, excuse me, y'all. On the OWN network, they did a call it. a segment where Iyanla came back the next day to talk to the cast. Excuse me, y'all. Our auntie is dealing with allergies big time. They did a segment where she came back the next day to talk to her crew. The crew was very shaken up and despondent, very hurt and confused. The white guy that you all see in the in that like little patio area, bald white guy. The next day we see him with a full cast on his feet. Somehow his ankle or his foot was broken in the midst of everything that went on. If you see him in the segment, he's whole. But when you see him later on, his foot is broken. Iyanla asks him how's he doing, and he says that, basically he's got 6 weeks that he has to heal. Did this situation cause the cast and the crew to be hurt? It appears to be that whatever went on that we didn't see, members of the cast were hurt. And so they get an opportunity to sit down with her and to talk about the mission, to talk about reality TV against, versus ratchet reality TV, and how they felt about this segment and Kamiyah. The producer who has his foot hurt has it up on a pillow, and they're all sitting around on the sofa. And he is hurt because he's never seen. He thought that Kamiyah would be angry, like they've had previous guests to be angry, but that she would come back and they would finish the healing process. And so did another gentleman who had worked with them prior. And Iyanla says, yes, I did think it, but at some point you have to know when to cut it off. She wasn't ready to be healed. Yes, I agree with Iyanla. She wasn't ready to be healed. She wasn't ready to deal with it because, again, that which you cannot speak, you cannot heal. I agree with that 100%. However, I do believe that there are methods and tactics that will help a person reach that point. And one size does not fit all. And when you see that something is not working, I think you should abandon it. Come up with a plan B. Think of another way that you can help this person heal. There's a young black woman who, when they talked about the difference between reality TV and just ratchet TV, they made the comparison saying that ratchet TV is people who act poorly and don't move to a place of healing, and they're being paid for wrong behavior. And Iyanla was saying that for her, she wants people to be healed. She doesn't want the ratchetness. And so, of course, she feels like her mission was accomplished because what she wanted to do was to show where Kamiyah was, who Kamiyah was, and she felt like that's what she did. So she felt like the mission wasn't, that she had fulfilled her mission. There was an African American young woman there who was very hurt, and she said, within 2 weeks, if I see something happen in the news to Kamiyah, I'm going to be really sad, and it's going to bring me to tears because I joined this staff so that I could see people be healed. And she wasn't healed. And for that young lady, she felt like the mission wasn't accomplished. I have to agree because this show is called Fix My Life. And no, Iyanla doesn't have the power to fix anybody's life. Only God can do that. And whatever God you believe in, whatever God you worship, God has the ability. But then you have people who can facilitate change and facilitate healing and facilitate delivery. And I don't think that happened in this case. What Iyanla kept saying to the dad when Kamiyah showed her natural born ass and was cursing and being disrespectful and threatening Iyanla that she would knock her out and all that kind of stuff. She said that was her mission. But why would that be your mission? To show the ugly side of people, to prove that an ugly side of a person does exist. I couldn't understand it and I couldn't get with it. I couldn't get with it. Because just because you show that I have an ugly side doesn't, everybody's got an ugly side. I don't know. I don't know. Let me put my glasses on and see what you all are saying out here for a couple of minutes. Don't worry, the timing of God is perfect and your son will come around. Oh, that is somebody else. Yes, we do, Xena64. Iyanla comes ratchet reality TV starting over was a grown-up version of BGCE in some ways. I didn't understand how they were going to get anywhere if the mother wasn't there. And at the end of the thing, she at the end of it, she talked about she read what the little girl had written, and the little girl had written that her mom, that she wished her mom had shown up, and that maybe she should not have done this without her mother there, that maybe she should have abandoned the mission. And I do believe she should have abandoned the mission. Her mother is the one who set this up. Kamiyah is the one who agreed to it. Every party was there except for the mother. And, she said that this wasn't the first time. Excuse me, I'm putting my... She said that, her mother, this wasn't the first time that her mom had abandoned her in this way. If you are out there today, please hit that thumbs up button. I appreciate that. That is my way of knowing that you are here and that you support this channel. Thank you so much for doing that. But, we're going to have to really pray for Kamiyah and really pray for her mom, because I think she should have abandoned it. I'm sorry, y'all. This light is just natural sunlight. I think that she should have abandoned it. I don't think that she should have went on with it. I think that the premise was that the mother was going to be there and that the two of them were going to be healed together. And you know what, as the adult, Iyanla had, I felt like, a duty, a responsibility to suggest that they stop. That's not to say that she didn't do it, but I'm just like, okay, as the adult, why didn't you suggest, let's abandon this, let's try to get in contact with your mother. But she felt like, because Craig, the dad, was there, and so, that does make me think, okay, well, this was reality TV too. This is ratchetness at its finest too. Iyanla, why didn't you abandon the interview? Like, I think that sometimes you have to make a decision for a child. This is a child. And, the little girl was saying, my dad walked her dad around, and I didn't see it that way. I saw it like, if I take my daughter somewhere, I can't just abandon it. I can't abandon her and just leave and be like, okay, well, I'm not going to answer the cell phone. I'm just going to leave you abandoned, especially when I know that you've dealt with all of this stuff. I love Iyanla Fix My Life. Y'all know that Iyanla Fix My Life is one of the first shows that I first started doing. So I don't have a problem with her. I'm not Iyanla bashing or anything like that. I'm just looking at it from a different perspective. I'm looking at it from, if it was me and my child, and if all this happened to my child, would I want it to have been handled this way? Absolutely, I would not have. But I understood Iyanla too, because this is what she's used to doing. But again, every size does not fit all. Although this is what you're used to doing, this isn't working out. Plan B, abort plan. Move to a different plan. That's all I'm saying. Move to a different plan. Have a plan B, a plan C. And then you have all these people that are around, And this little girl, you just pop up on her and change the plans and say, well, you know what though, love, you ain't going home. You're going to stay here. Well, guess what? That wasn't part of the deal. It wasn't part of the deal. And so, you know what? It does appear that the staff got hurt, and they were really, really upset. I think more so at the fact that this was a fail. And I don't know what happened to the guy, because I'm telling you right now, when I saw him, when you go back and look at it, and you see him walking back and forth, he has 2 black pair of boots on, and then afterwards he has a boot on from the hospital, from the doctor, saying that his foot is broken. Like, what the hell happened? We see staff running around and all of that kind of stuff. Can we blame Kamiyah that she actually did this on her own? No, because guess what? Iyanla was the adult, and she was the one who was responsible for it. And when she got out of the van to come to the steps the second day, that is one of the things that Iyanla said. I am responsible for what happened. I am responsible. I don't know if, this video is going to maybe provoke them to tell us what happened. I don't know. But I really would like to know how this man ended up with a broken foot. Was he running? Did he fall down some stairs? Was it just a lot of chaos? Was there fighting? Were they trying to prevent them from leaving? We saw Iyanla, kind of like, brush her hands at this. But what really happened? And what is happening to Kamiyah? At the end, they said that none of them reached out and returned any of their phone calls. And frankly, guess what? I can't blame them. I wouldn't have returned their phone calls either. You flip my daughter upside down and have her acting a straight plumb fool. I've seen my daughter come out of character a couple of times, and I know the rage that is lying dormant in her when pushed. It's in us all. It is absolutely in us all. Because I'm telling you now, you push me up against a wall, and you're going to see a lion. I'm talking about a full-fledged lion come out. So, this is my review. I thank you all so much for being out here live with me. I'm hoping that you had an opportunity to talk to your your cousins out there about the show. I can't wait to get back with you all and be back with you live on Thursday. But I had to come out here and talk about this. Have a great day and a great weekend on purpose, y'all, and a good week. What you saying, boo? Oh, I love you too, Josie F. Hey, Miss Michelle. Hi. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Who's that? Oh, we got a new subscriber. Let me put my glasses on. I love new nieces. We got somebody that's new and birthed into the family. Hi. You put my glasses on real quick. Okay, what was her name? Nina J. Hi. Welcome to the family. Everybody say hi to her. Hi, boo. Welcome. Oh, I love you too, Miss Michelle. I'm hoping you all haven't missed me that much. Auntie ain't been feeling that great. But anyway, y'all make sure that y'all like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and make sure you share this video on all of your social media platforms. Share it on Twitter. I'm hoping everybody, the Facebook page, likes it, loves it, and is having a wonderful time out there. I love you all to pieces, and thanks for coming out live with your auntie. Love you all so much.